desk over the weekend. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I was wondering.
Yeah.
You were yelling at everybody.
Were you? I should have left a note. I didn't want to go like dig around on your desk to leave a note.
Doesn't it see my desk have enough fine? Why would somebody put their code book there? I didn't know who she was.
I didn't want to keep. I thought, oh, next person can use that. I know, right? I've always used the went online.
You feel this decision.
Yeah, no, I did. I had that.
64 book. That decision too?
In your
No.
hands, right?
That's over.
I can't even get used to a Kindle. What's that? I know, and I thought I had like a sticky when I left home, and I lost a sticky somewhere. So
John, you know this new guy from here?
Dune Road, yeah.
What's his story?
He's, has a place on Dune Road. And we've given them a variance. He's in real estate. For Douglas Allman, maybe?
Oh, that's where I've heard the name. Yep.
He's okay.
How did he raise his hand and volunteer? Or
I have no idea. I found out when Jerry told me to.
you can do it.
Yeah, Martin's. I remember that.
Actually owns 2 houses on
I never used that, Jim.
One I know he rents out.
Just get my volume here.
And he has 2 houses in the city.
Okay.
Hey, Tony.
Hi.
Pretty nice guy.
Enjoy. A small crowd here for such a busy meeting.
Okay.
All right. We'll get started. Are you all set, guys? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get started. Welcome to our zoning board meeting. Our main zoning board meeting already. The next meeting will be the third Thursday in June, which I believe is the 16th. So we have a few things gathered away before we get started with the hearings. The first is the minutes to be approved. I'll make a motion that we approve our minutes from last month.
I'll second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are good. We have a few decisions. The first one is Eric Miller, 13 Stacy Drive. We did that. We have a written decision from the board to approve that variance, so I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve that variance as written. Second by John.
Aye.
Favor?
Aye.
Okay. Our next one is Denise Berger, 28 Meadow. That's yours also, okay. We also have a decision, written decision at this point right now to approve that variance, so we're gonna go ahead and, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and just approve that variance as written. Have a second? Second by Ellen, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tony, by the way, that was just a great decision. Robert Schoenfeld on 22 Bayfield. That was proposed subdivision. We have a decision, a written decision to approve that variance. So if I have a second on that, to approve that variance as written.
Joe.
Joe seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
We all good? Yep. All right. So, we're into our holdovers. Our first holdover is the Egret Dune Corporation, 95 Dune Road. Is there anybody here for that?
No, they asked to hold it over until June. But this has been held over for a little bit of time now, so I don't know.
We've had this held over. We don't have any more, Brad, we haven't gotten anything, Tony, we haven't gotten anything that anybody knows about on this? So I think at this point, what we'll do is let's make a request, reach out to council on this, for the applicant here. And if they can't be here next month, let's see if we can get this off our agenda until they're ready to proceed.
Okay.
All right, that okay with everybody? Yeah. So I'll make a motion to go ahead and send that out there.
Second?
Jimmy seconds it. Okay, so we're all okay with that. This is just showing up over and over.
It was back in October.
I think you're last.
First,
I wasn't sure.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
First.
All right, now we're to the West Hampton Beach Fire District. 92 Sunset Avenue, they request for variance to erect a digital ground sign with a 7-foot setback, where the minimum is 10 feet required, a sign area of 31.17 square feet, with the maximum permitted is 12 square feet, and a sign capable of displaying animated images where specifically prohibited. And for 197-30B14, for proposed sign is internally illuminated, they're also specifically prohibited. Good evening.
Good evening. Nice to see everybody again. I'm not sure what more I can add. This is the third time, we've been here. Last time I know it was over because I had submitted a memo outlining how the Monroe balancing test would be applied to this particular application. I know Mr. Pasca had said that the Monroe factor should be applied to each issue with respect to the applications, which there are four, areas of relief that we're seeking: the setback, the sign area, the display of animated images, and the internal illumination. I would just suggest that whether the Monroe balancing test is looked at to each and every provision that we're seeking, or whether, as I would suggest, the totality of the application. Really, it's a totality, in my humble opinion. But either way, come to the same conclusion, and that is, under the Monroe balancing test, that this application should absolutely be granted. We've been through some of the public safety concerns regarding the fire department, and I know last time there was a passionate member of the fire department here, I think the chief. But one thing is evident, and I think as the board had pointed out, in that this is the fire department. It's not a commercial enterprise. It's not a business establishment. They're going to be good stewards of this sign. Not only that, it's necessary to the functioning of the fire department. We live in a digital age. We live in an age where the messaging is important, and the multiple factors which I've gone through, the ways that this would enhance the fire department's mission statement and allow them to function are really important. And I'm just going to reiterate some of those here. The reasons that this sign was used: blood drives, COVID vaccination spots, relief aid efforts, and I know they had very recently a very successful Ukrainian aid drive, amber alerts, road closures, weather advisories, public safety reminders, changing of smoke alarms, which, very often save a life. I'm not being overly dramatic here. I think that sort of messaging is really important for the public. Fire prevention tips, and for the fire department itself, since it is a volunteer organization, also recruitment efforts, very important. And having a sign showing that this fire department is actually stepping into the 21st century, like most of the other neighboring fire departments with this type of illuminated sign, is important for their messaging for recruitment efforts, as well as just general community spirit, goodwill. They probably will be happy 4th of July, happy Thanksgiving, congratulations to the graduates. But these are all necessary to the functioning of village like this. I understand your reluctance or hesitancy initially because this is different. It is new. I understand, what you are stewards of here. But it's not a neon sign. It's an LED sign. As I said last time, I know West Hampton Village is different. It's actually similar to my efforts. It's a small hamlet which embraces its history, embraces its aesthetics, and this type of a sign is just simply going to enhance that. So I think the board has all the information it needs. If there's any questions, I'm happy to field.
The New York zoning law practice, I mean, the fire district comes under a limited immunity.
Yes, it's not an absolute unqualified.
I mean, this board, we have, since this fire house got built, I mean, this board has granted parking setbacks, signage, height. We've been very much involved with the importance of the fire company, without a doubt. We've run into a problem here, in my own personal thing here with this is that the village in 2006, I believe, did away with all these signs for a reason. And they amortized them out over a 5-year period. So after 2011, we didn't have any more of these LED and backlit signs. There was a reason for that. Now the fire department is coming, they want to have one of these. They want to have a sign that's way bigger than is allowed in the B1 district. They want to have it close to the road, they want to have the setback, and they want to have it an LED illuminated in addition to the animated sign. So this is a big leap here, and this isn't to minimize the importance of what they do, but I just, when we have something that's totally prohibited, this is a big reach for us.
Oh, I completely understand. Just the LED signs from 2006 to 2022, the 16 years, they are absolutely different. The signage, the size is important because this is not advertising to, come to a commercial establishment. This is conveying necessary public information. So it's not as if this opens the floodgates to other similar applications from a restaurant or a theater or somebody else that wants to do this. This is very, very unique and very, very idiosyncratic here for the purposes of the fire department. It is the fire department. The Monroe balancing factors, I think, clearly weigh in favor of this. I would suggest without any exception here. I know that the fire department is very concerned about doing something that is aesthetic here. These are the way the signs are manufactured. They're kind of a standardized thing. It's not as if they had a smaller sign. It's just simply not going to function. It's not going to, and actually could even cause public safety hazard if it's too small a sign. This is meant to be seen to convey necessary information in furtherance of the public safety mission of the fire department. So I completely understand, that West Hampton Beach doesn't want these signs to be, all over town omnipresent. This is not that. This is very unique. This is a fire department sign. So, but I understand your concerns. It is something new. It is something different. It's change, and I would suggest progress, allowing the fire department to progress at least.
I understand the most of this, but on the Monroe decision, one of the 9 things that they point out is the fact that both government entities should work together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an important one.
Absolutely.
And I'm not feeling that in the last couple of meetings. When I asked the question about the size, and you say, no, it has to be that size for various reasons, including That's how they make it, that's how other municipalities, have them all over Long Island. They don't make them any smaller, this is the way it is. The people that do signage for me, they tell me that sign, can be made smaller, that can be made in 1 foot increments. So I would question.
That I appreciate the question. I'm unaware of it being able to be made smaller by the manufacturer that the fire department saw.
Okay. But, so that is one of the things in the Monroe decision, for me, which is important. I mean, we're a board that is, generally speaking, is not going to say, no, that's it, goodbye, next. We work with, the applicants as they come forward. Homeowners, contractors, architects, and such. I would venture to say, the fire district, that is someone that, I would give deference to, and look at these a lot more closely. But I need to know that I'm being heard and there's some flexibility on your end. If there's no flexibility, then my decision, gets a little more easier to make, and I don't really want to go there.
Understood. So is the suggestion that the fire department speak with the manufacturer to see if the sign can be made smaller? I mean, is the issue the size for you?
Well, for me, yeah, that's one of the issues for me is the size. Animation is another issue. The messaging that we all spoke about in the last couple of meetings hits home with me. I get it. It's 2022. It's a different message than it was back in 1950. I wouldn't expect fire departments to go out there every day and change letters and numbers out on a sign. I understand.
And I'm glad you raised that, because as far as aesthetically unpleasing, those old signs where the lettering can be changed, to me, are unpleasant.
And I understand that it's not a commercial establishment, it's not a delicatessen or a grocery store, and you have certain requirements and certain needs and certain obligations, to the public. But I'm still looking for that working together, aspect, and I'm not hearing a lot of that.
Okay. I mean, one of the Monroe factors that jumps off the page to me is the extent that the public interest would be served by the improvements. This isn't the school, which I know there's an issue, and I think I raised that last time.
I think so.
But this is public safety. I mean, right over your head, as I pointed out the first meeting, it's a fire truck from the fire department. I don't think it's being hyperbolic to say that the sign could potentially save a life. Road closure, this is messaging that needs to be seen. It needs to be digital. It needs to be fluid. The messaging has to get out there. So it is not a commercial establishment. It's the fire district, which is a separate municipality. And I think that if you do apply the Monroe balancing test here in the public interest, there's only one way that this application can go, and that's to be granted.
Wait, can I talk about the Monroe test a little bit? Because I feel like we're getting into that area. One of the reasons why I had suggested that each of the regulations be looked at independently is because the ultimate aim of the balancing test is to weigh the village's interest in enforcing its code against the fire district's interest in serving its function, and which of the two functions essentially becomes more important under a particular set of circumstances. Each of the, I'll call them variances because you are alternatively seeking variances, but each of the nonconformities, the 4 different ones, may balance out differently for you guys. And I'm gonna use one example because you've said, sort of without any real backup evidence, that it has to be a fluid sign. Well, the animate, let me just say, the animated, the village's prohibition against animated signs was a big deal when it was adopted. And so far we've heard them say we want this sign, but we haven't heard why the fire district has to have an animated sign that moves as opposed to one that doesn't. That may balance out differently than the setback nonconformity that they're asking for. It may balance differently than the size one. He's made an argument that it has to be big enough to be seen in order to get the message out. Getting the message out is the goal that the fire district is trying to achieve. The village has its own interest to protect as well. And so the balancing of those two competing interests is what the balancing test is designed to get to the bottom of. And I think one of the issues I have with the sort of the memo and the analysis you presented is it's all one-sided. I mean, and I don't blame you for wanting to explain your client's side, but you are not acknowledging the importance that the village places on some of these regulations. Nobody has. And it's sort of like being dismissed as if it's completely unimportant that the village has amortized out some of these types of signs. And so it is a very important thing for the village to enforce these regulations. The balancing of those has to be taken into account. And it may still balance in your favor. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't, but it's very important. And to say it's a clear cut, and it has to be fluid, and it has to be animated, and it has to be backlit. A lot of what you said is, well, the manufacturer says this is what we should do. There's other manufacturers out there, and you haven't come forward saying, we've approached all 10 manufacturers of these types of signs and found another, and all 10 of them say you have to do it this way. You've basically said, you basically said the reason why you have to do it this way is because your manufacturer says you have to do it this way.
No,
I think you have said that.
Mr. Pasco, if you were listening carefully to what I actually said, because I gave great deference to what the board's wrestling with here. I absolutely did, so I'm not sure.
What I haven't heard, and I don't think it's not in here, is an acknowledgement of the interest that the board is trying to weigh against what you're arguing, which is the fire district's interest. And nobody's questioning that the fire district has an interest here. It's just a question of whether that means we have to, that interest is so important that it outweighs the village's interest.
Well, to the extent that the fire district's interest is shared by every single member of this community who's served by the fire district, it is absolutely different. Yes, indeed. So I'm not sure here. I think you're looking through this as the prism of still a commercial establishment.
No,
but it's not.
no, because every Monroe balancing test involves competing governmental interests. And I've read, hold on. I've read cases dealing with fire districts. They don't always win. They don't always win on the balancing test. And if they
don't, and then they take Article 78.
And they don't always win those.
Right, and neither does the village. So
No, I agree. But my point is, no. My point is to just say they're a fire district, therefore they win, which is kind of what it feels that way. So
Except that's not
what I'm telling my board is you have to look at each of the 4 nonconformities. You have to balance the village's interest in that compared to the district's interest in getting out its message, which they've made clear. That's their main goal here, is to get out important public safety messages, and you have to decide whether it justifies an immunity from that particular requirement.
And these are not
The setback requirement, the size requirement, the backlit requirement, and the illuminated requirement. I think you have to do it separately for each one.
So what I'm suggesting is the interests are shared. This is not a competing interest issue. It is not seeking an exemption for the sake of seeking an exemption. It is seeking an exemption for the purpose of public safety, which serves every resident of West Hampton Beach. So
But you made that clear, and there's no question that
and I'm
the
not
fire district
dismissing
has
the
an
board's
interest.
function at all.
There's no question the fire district's expressed its interest and that side of the balancing test. But that's what Monroe is really designed to determine, is which interest is more paramount in a particular circumstance. And that's what you guys have to decide, at least at this point. And I'm not telling the board how to make that call. I'm just saying, in my opinion, the way it has to be approached is each of the 4 nonconformities and going through the importance on both sides of it, because some of these factors talk about the kind of function or land use involved, the effect of the local land use regulation, the impact upon legitimate local interests, and those things have to be taken into account. I don't think this memo does, but that's your job to take those into account as well. I'm not going to make arguments for or against it, but that's what you have to grapple with when you go through this, that's all.
And it's not missing of one factor fails the application.
I agree. It's and you know, this board has dealt with 99% of the applications before this board are a 5-factor test. There's a different type of balancing that this board does, and they apply a 5-factor test. The Monroe test is another type of balancing that applies a 9-factor test. And so they're used to doing that. They're used to sometimes, 3 of 5 factors weigh one way and 2 weigh the other, and they're fully aware that they have to take all of the factors into account.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, so I have nothing more to add unless anybody has a question.
I don't think I have anything else.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You guys have anything else? No?
Donald Metcalf, 41 Old Country Road, West Hampton, and I'm the fire commissioner at West Hampton Beach Fire District. I just want to speak about the size and how we came to this. We didn't just say, give us the biggest sign you can. Vendors came, set up signs, we looked at, they explained different pixels, we looked at them from different distances, and that's how we decided what we needed. So that's how we came to the size. Also, Mr. Peary said that the village has done away with these signs. I think the village knows the importance of these signs. Time and time again, there's one rolled out here at the circle, even to notify the people at the closing of the parade, the change of the date. So, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
You got anything else? Is there anybody else? So I think we could, you guys don't have anything else, no other questions? I don't think I do either. I think we can go ahead and close this hearing for a determination. Have a second?
Second.
Second by John.
Aye.
All good?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, our next one is Judy Madden, 64 Brook Road. Applicant requests variances from 197-35C to install an accessory swimming pool with setbacks of 13.7 and 15 feet with a minimum fee to minimum is 20.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us back again. Since we last spoke, we sharpened our pencils.
Uh-huh.
And at the plan, we provided an updated copy. What we did and what we're proposing is on the side would need a 3-foot forgiveness. The rear yard, as we said last time, is no longer an issue. We have the 20 feet. So it would be 3 feet on the west side. The pool equipment has now been moved entirely to the east, well within the setback. We were also proposing on the east side, we are asking for forgiveness that we would put up a 6-foot fence and vegetate it so that we would give additional privacy to the neighbors on that side. From my understanding is we have not heard from those neighbors. We did hear from the neighbors on the rear, but since we have made that change, they are no longer concerned. So we're doing everything that we can to make sure that our neighbors to the east are not impacted by them, and we're only asking for 3-foot forgiveness at this point.
Did you mean east or west?
I'm on the west side. Did I say east? That west side.
You didn't grow up on a farm, right?
No. It's the west side of the property. So it would be the Beach Road side of the property, 3 feet from the property. And we run the 6-foot fence from the back of the house or all the way to the back of the property. So that way the entire pool would be blocked by the fence and by the vegetation.
What about along the rear? Is there some kind of screening along the rear?
We certainly could. I mean, if the board would like it, that's fine. We could do that. We could do a 6-foot fence back there too. She has to fence it no matter what,
Right.
so that would be fine.
Why not be consistent?
Well, you know,
A
it's
6-foot fence.
just
along
because, I mean, I know it's conforming with the 20 feet, but there's still noise factors and whatever, so, you know, that would be something to contain that.
She'd have no issues with
You're gonna have it 5 feet from the house? Kind of tight there, huh? It's not you, I got it, yeah, I know.
it. Well, it's a tight squeeze in that one little spot. It is going to be a tight squeeze. It's going to basically be a walking deck.
Now, did you say the neighbors to the rear have no objections now?
They have no objections now since we agreed that we were not going to ask for any forgiveness on the rear line. They did have a representative in the last hearing, and as soon as they heard that,
So I was gonna say that was 15.
I don't have any other questions. Good. Audience, any questions on this? We're good, okay, thank you. I'll make a motion to close this hearing for determination. Second by John.
Aye.
All in favor? You all good with that? Okay, new applications. Number 7 is Bella 165 LLC. 165 Dune Road.
The applicant James Andrew, 323 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach. As you will recall, we gave a rather extensive presentation on this last month. There was 2 additional forms of relief that had to be advertised for.
Right.
The plan itself was not changed in any way from what was described last week, and I believe the advertising will be taken.
We went through this pretty good, it was just kind of an advertising thing that had to be done, if I remember right.
So you said you have 2 more variances?
There were 2 more variances that were not.
It's an updated agenda.
The plan has not changed.
It's the top one there.
Right.
It was originally.
So now you just filled out an application with the 2 more
I
variances?
think they just ran an advertisement.
We addressed it last month, but it just wasn't properly advertised.
So, okay, so they are not part of this application?
160.
Well, they are now, I think. There's not, it hasn't been, it's in your description.
No, I know it's in the description,
It's
but,
not in the application.
so in other words, we are looking at those also this evening?
Yes.
Okay. Could you describe those?
Yeah, it basically has to do with the pool deck being expanded. It continues, one of the variances is the 75-foot setback from the dune. Even though we're expanding the deck, we're maintaining the setback that already exists. And on the east or west side, one of them. On the east side, thank you. The deck is going to be 16 and a half feet from the property line, when 20 feet is required, and that's to give a little more space on the deck. On that side of the pool is pretty narrow, and we're pretty high up in the air. Just the functionality
see that one?
is better and safer.
So the lot coverage is, that's including, so this lot coverage at 29.7 includes what you
What I
just
just
described?
Correct. And that was advertised for.
Right, so you're going up another 3% in the lot coverage.
Right. And the whole issue, the property is already over its lot coverage to begin with, and the reason being that when this house was built, the lot coverage was based on the entire lot as opposed to the upland portion of the lot. This property is well protected with 1, 2, 3 dunes, so it's not really safety issue, upland issue.
So when this, if and when this deck gets extended to the east,
Yep.
that generator and whatever that other contraption is next to it, it's going to move east also?
I think they're being relocated, if you would like them relocated somewhere else. That's not a problem.
Well, I don't know, I personally think it's a heavy lift just to get that deck, that deck is part of the project.
Right.
Last month.
Structures shown
We talked about this. We did.
to be removed.
Yeah.
So the generator and all of that stuff is going to be removed.
Okay.
You okay with that, Joe? You done?
Yeah, I'm done with it, sure.
Okay. Good. I didn't have any questions. I mean, we had a pretty extensive
Yeah, we did.
presentation last month on this, and this was just an advertisement since we already had gone through.
Well, we didn't really have a discussion on this, on this deck extension.
Wonderful
Not
to
that I
take a
know
look if these variances are granted.
No, I think we did, because we talked about that. Brad pointed out that they weren't
This part of the
advertised.
record last time, did I not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw that.
You have those in the file. This is what it looks like now.
Right.
This is what it's going to look like
Right.
with the variances.
Yes.
Brad, you have anything?
No, yeah, it was an oversight. The plot plan hasn't changed from originally. I didn't realize that the deck was extended, so I didn't call out those variances in denial or advertise them. So after the presentation, I double checked and the Dave Box survey had it clear that that was new deck, not existing deck. So at the end of the presentation, I said I have to renotice that.
Right.
Yeah, it hasn't changed since last, hasn't changed since this again. Just an oversight.
Okay, I don't have anything else on this.
Good.
All good, so I'll make a motion to go ahead and close this for a decision next month.
Second.
Second by Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Number 8 is Michael and Elizabeth Libby, 205 Dune Road, applicant request variances from 74C for proposed major additions to the dwelling, non-movable structure within the CEHA, where specifically prohibited, and from 74-888 for proposed major additions and restoration of the dwelling within the primary dune area, where specifically prohibited, and from 197-29-1A as proposed additions are located within the required rear yard, 75 feet required from the crest of the dune, representing a prohibited increase in degree of nonconformity of the building with nonconforming rear yard setbacks.
For the applicant, James and June,
And Jim, hi
the
again.
advertising is on me this time. Didn't get, not advertising, it didn't get noticed to the neighbors.
So we have to hold it over.
Put this over to next month.
Hold it over.
Jim, you're gonna take the bullet on that one?
Absolutely. yeah.
Okay, well,
Neither one of us can do advertising.
okay.
Jim, in addition to that lot coverage, if you can provide,
Back there.
thanks.
So if you can just put that over for all purposes, we'll get it.
Okay. Joe, you just talked about the lot coverage on
Yeah.
12.5?
Yep.
Give you on the top end. Thank you. Good. Okay, I'll make a motion to go ahead and hold it over for all purposes. Second by Ellen, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay. 17 Dune Road, LLC, 17 Dune Road, applicant requests variances from 74-5C2 for a proposed dwelling within the coastal erosion hazard area where construction of non-movable structures are prohibited, 197.78D for proposed front yard setback of 57 feet where the minimum required is 75 feet. Also from 197.8B for proposed combined side yard setback of 45 feet where the minimum required is 50 feet. And for 197.35C for proposed accessory deck setback to the crest of the dune of 59 feet where the minimum required is 75 feet. And also from 197.35C for proposed accessory pool setback to the crest of the dune of 60 feet where the minimum required is 75 feet. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Good evening, Heather Wright, for the applicant.
Hi, Heather.
48 Main Street, Accessory. I'm here today with Steve Gaetano, the owner, but also the architect of the project.
Hello.
Certainly answer any questions that you might have about the design. But the property is 17 Dune Road. It's on the zoning district with 46,744 square feet, 18,378 square feet north of the crest of the dune. So the lot's currently improved with a pre-existing one-story dwelling that has a finished lower level, a garage that's been converted to storage space, and a rear deck, all within the coastal erosion hazard area. And the existing dwelling is not compliant. So just to give you the dimensions on the existing dwelling, it is 103 feet from Dune Road, so it meets the front yard setback, but it's 4.9 feet from the easterly property line at the northeast corner and 6.8 feet from the southeast corner. There's a wood deck, if you can see it on the survey, there's a wood, almost like a cocktail deck that leads all the way down. That is approximately 4.9 feet from the easterly property line. 4 to 5 feet from the top of the dune, and the wood deck and stairs almost encroach onto the top of the dune. So our proposal is to demolish the existing structure. We're going to move it partially out of the coastal erosion hazard area. We're going to comply with the individual side yard setbacks. We'll have a septic system, and we're going to be removing the existing wood deck that is encroaching into the dune, and that whole walkway to store the dune, and then to provide for access to the ocean on the walkway that's on the westerly side of the property. But as you can see from this lot, we are somewhat constrained with the 75-foot setback from the front, and the 75-foot setback from the crest of the dune, and the location of the coastal erosion hazard line. So we're here for that reason, and we are requesting a variance from the front yard setback of 57 feet when 75 feet is required, total side yard of 45 feet when 50 is required, and then a setback from the crest of the dune, which is 57 feet when 75 feet is required. I'll talk about the coastal erosion variance separate from the area variance that we're requesting. So we're going to obviously comply with FEMA. We're removing significant nonconformities, and what my client designed, we believe, is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood in that area on Dune Road. We're not exceeding lot coverage. We've centrally located the house so that it's in the center of the lot. It's basically moving it over 18 feet, because right now it's really sitting on top of the house next door. We took great care in designing this in keeping with the relief that this board has granted at the neighboring property and on other properties, because that is the character of the neighborhood, right? So, if you look at 15 Dune Road, where we're positioning the house is located very similar to where that dwelling is located. And even on the other side at 19 Dune Road, we're sort of lined up with them. And if I show you this, I think you have it in your package, but you can see where the location of where we're proposing our dwelling and then the location of the homes on either side. So it's really lining them up and moving this, further away, or moving our structure further away from the existing structure with the very tight setback. And the setbacks that we really tried to design it in keeping with the same, so it's similar to 15 Dune Road, 57 feet from the front, and we're not encroaching any further closer to the crest of the dune. And obviously, we're improving the setback from the crest of the dune by removing the existing half-ton deck and walkway and deck that's on the existing home. It's certainly, what we're proposing with the house and the deck is in keeping with the characteristics of the many homes up and down the road that have decks off the back, decks and pools off the back of the house. When we look at the feasibility factor, it's really difficult. It would be impossible to build a home that wouldn't require some sort of variance given the setbacks here. And so there's really no other feasible way to do this. It's a reasonably sized house for what my client's needs are. Again, we're improving the setbacks significantly. While it may be mathematically substantial what we're asking for, I think you need to look at that factor within the sort of totality of the constraints that we're facing on the lot. And we are again putting in a new septic system and making the home FEMA compliant. And in terms of the environmental impact, obviously it's better for the environment, restoring the dune and sort of meeting all building codes. So when you look at the 5-part test, we think what we've designed complies with that. We also have the coastal erosion variance, and obviously the elements of that are very similar to the elements of the 5-part test for an area variance, but we have to look at the 2 additional elements of whether our proposed development will be reasonably safe from flooding. Obviously, a FEMA compliant home is designed so that it's reasonably safe from flooding, and there really is no other alternative location for the proposed construction because we're the setbacks on the front yard is 75 feet, and we're at the coastal erosion hazard line is 85 feet from the northeast corner of the property. So whatever we construct here is going to encroach in some way into the coastal erosion line, which is very similar for other homes on Dune Road. So, at this point, I'm happy to show you the plans, answer any questions you have. My client can answer any questions about the design.
Heather, is there any supporting mechanical equipment in any of the side yards?
No, they're underneath, correct?
Yeah, we have all the mechanical equipment at elevation 10. There's some in the back of the house, under the pool. Nothing in the side yards at all.
Okay.
Show you yeah, right here. So if you want to see, I'll just show you right here. So here is the this is the ground floor.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So it would be right here, and then the pool is above that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, great. Thank you.
It's a pretty modest sized pool, isn't it?
Yeah, 10 by 12.
10 by
10 by
12 by 20.
Sorry, 12 by
20.
20. Very much.
Yeah. And that's going to be actually in the deck itself.
Correct. Yeah, so if you look at some of the other homes on Dune Road, they may have just have a deck, but they obviously, the homeowner obviously chose to have a larger deck. We would prefer to have the pool in the deck, obviously giving up deck space. You can see on it's actually easier to see on the survey. If you look at the survey, we don't have much in the way of decking further out. It's really just on the east and west sides of the deck for sitting purposes.
So the house now, I'm looking at this, the existing house is about 100 feet off of Dune Road?
Correct.
And you're looking to bring it to 57 feet, so you're moving it significantly further up. How much bigger is the house?
The footprint of this house is approximately 2,040 square feet for the footprint. The existing dwelling, is close to 1,500 square feet for a footprint, but that's not including the deck, correct? Yeah. So they have a much larger deck.
Yeah, I just have trouble seeing that.
If that helps. Is it hard to see?
I was just trying to see the size of the house.
It was hard for me as well, so.
Oh, okay.
If I think
I feel better now. Huh?
So that's the existing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see what the deck is in the back. All right, so the footprint of this house is going to be significantly bigger, right? What is that, 21? 23.9?
23.9?
Is that what I'm looking at? Is that what that is?
It's like 22, but I
I
can't.
have to look at my.
Where is that
Yeah.
on here? That's on here? What she just showed you is on here?
Yeah, it is.
23.
Wow.
That is-
Okay.
Right, it's 23.
Oh my God.
I'm just looking at the different size of the house.
2654. If you look at the
Uh-huh.
zoning detail on the side of the
Oh.
survey.
Okay. Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, so it is definitely bigger than what's existing there, but it's certainly what has been built on either side, and it's smaller than the house to the west.
Wait, did you see the letter from your neighbor?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
I actually think some of what she says, I understand her concerns, and certainly they're valid. It's important to protect the environment, protect the dune. I think we're doing all the things that, you know, she's concerned about as a citizen and a member of the community. But I actually think her argument that she makes in there about the shifting of the dune and the 5 feet actually works in our favor, because it shows that we're even more constrained in that the location of the dune impacts us more than at 15 Dune Road, but yet we're still being very careful to build consistent with what is on either side of us.
And you are maintaining 75 feet to the crest of the moon.
With the house is, the dwelling is meeting the 75 foot.
Right, the
setback.
house
It's
is,
the
we're
pool
talking
and
about the
deck.
pool and the deck
Yeah.
that is encroaching on that.
Where is 23 and 24 Dune Road in relation to 17?
It's, yeah, 3 houses west.
Couple houses to the west?
Yes,
There's one on the bay and one on the ocean?
yes. One is, actually one is vacant on the bay, and then the house is on the ocean.
Okay.
Let's see. I really don't have anything else.
Good.
Joe? John?
No. Anyone in the audience have anything on this
Anybody else have
application?
anything here?
No.
I really don't have anything else for you, Heather. I think, you know, I really like the fact that you're looking to move it as far out of the crest of the dune as we can. And the front yard variance is always what we like to see instead of a,
More significant.
yeah. So, where are you now with respect to the dune?
Now, with respect to the dune, we're, at one point, the deck is like almost 5 feet.
Right.
across the dune, and the existing deck, the larger existing deck on the is, like 30.
Where's the house? Where's the house, the old house, the existing house in respect to the dune?
So the existing house is just about 50 feet from the crest of the dune. The whole entire house is within the coastal erosion hazard area.
Yeah, we see
So it's
that.
all the way up,
So you're gonna pull it a little bit partially out of the CSEA.
yes.
And you're gonna take from the crest of the dune from the house itself, is gonna go from roughly 50 feet to 75 now?
Correct. Yep. The existing deck attached to the dwelling is 38 feet from the crest of the dune, sorry.
The house itself?
The deck that is attached to the existing house is 38 feet from the crest of the dune.
Right. Okay. Question about the existing variance on this. When was that from? That was, it looks like 2013.
Yeah.
Nothing was done with that.
What do you mean?
Was anything done with that?
No, nothing was done.
So this variance that you got previously was just let it expire?
Yeah.
That's what I was like wondering. Okay. I think, Joe, you looking for something? You have any questions?
No, fine, thanks.
Okay.
Good.
Good. All right, I don't have anything else for you. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so if that's okay, I'd like to make a motion, we close tonight's hearing.
Second.
Second by Jim, we'll have a decision next time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, number 10 on our agenda. Oh, we're back. Okay. Stephen and Leslie Sofel, 5 Michaels Way, applicant requests variance from 197-35A for proposed accessory structure, pool patio sheds and trellis to be located in the front yard, pointed through lot where specifically prohibited. So, this is,
Okay, good evening, Heather Wright, for the applicant.
we just had somebody look just like you.
Stephen and Leslie Silver. This right here is 5 Michael's Way. It's a vacant parcel. The applicant purchased it in August 2020. It's in the R1 zone district. It's 57,020 square feet. As you can see, the lot is obviously a U-shaped, kind of a regular circular lot with road frontage on three sides. It was created as part of the Snug Harbor subdivision dated 1981. So we're proposing to construct a 2-story single-family dwelling and swimming pool. Because of the road frontage on 3 sides, we're here requesting relief from you from 197-35A, which prohibits accessory structures in a front yard. So, you know, the way, and Craig's here with me, who designed the house, and the way it was designed was to put the pool and the trellis, you know, sort of in the, what would be considered the front yard, but behind the house, and create almost a de facto backyard in this location, right? Because I have, and we can hand these out, I have sketches for you of what it would look like if it complied versus if the requested variances. So I'm happy to show you both of those. But I think if you want, let me just let you take a look at that.
Thank you.
What was that you were just holding up? Was that an aerial shot?
Yeah, I have that as well. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'd like to look at it.
Here, why don't you give me those, I'll pass out for you.
Your packet. No, you're getting it right now.
Oh, on that one, okay.
All right, so let's see. Maybe.
Do you need this one for
No,
now?
I have one. Thank you.
So,
It's a pretty unique piece of property here, isn't it?
it is. And I think if you look at the sketch where it shows compliance, you know, this is really not an optimal location for the proposed pool and trellis because it's, well, let me back up. In designing this, the structure on the property all the way around would meet a 50-foot front yard setback. And we did that on purpose so that we created the space between, you know, the structures and the neighboring parcels. So the idea here is instead of putting it in sort of where the triangular piece would be, which would be our rear yard, which gives no backyard and is actually closer to the neighbor at 1 Michael's Way, we rotated everything and are looking to create almost the the backyard sort of in the proposed location, which obviously requires the variances here. The other reason why we didn't want to do the design where it would comply is because then our driveway, if you look at where the location of the various driveways are, our driveway would almost be like facing right on top of the driveways across the street. And so when they're pulling out, when we're pulling out, it's sort of, and it's on a curve here. So it just makes much more sense to have the house sort of face this way and then have the pool behind it. And we're proposing to put privet along the back, like an 8-foot privet. Yeah, to kind of cut off any front yard, right? It would really turn it into its backyard. So, you know, if we look at the 5-part test again, you know, all of the lots in the subdivision obviously are approved with single-family dwellings. You know, but the way we've designed it is we believe in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. Similarly, 1 Michael's Way was granted a variance. They only had 2 front yards. But they needed relief also for their pool and their tennis court, and they kind of did something very similar by creating sort of their backyard. I think it's important to note that we are complying with that 50-foot setback, and you know, it's a very unique lot. So while we could comply, actually in this scenario, it's just not an optimal design. So there's really no other feasible way for us to accomplish this goal. And I think it's actually better for the neighborhood and further away from the neighbors. I know that you received an email from 2 of the neighbors across the street, and so I want to reassure them that we are installing privet. So
they were requesting, right? They were, those emails, they were looking for a screening.
Yeah. But I want to point out with those neighbors that separated, so it's 50 feet to the property line. Then there's Michael's Way, which is significant. And then, assuming they meet the setbacks on their own home, it's another 50 feet, right? So we're talking even, it's quite a distance from the neighbors across the street.
You say pool, patio, and sheds. What am I missing with sheds on this?
There's, on either side, there's Craig Arm, 16 Library Avenue. So on either side of there's an open trellis on the far side of the pool, and there's a storage shed on either side. It's not a traditional pool house, it's really just some storage structures to house cushions.
You see it? Yeah, I need a magnifying. Yeah. Yeah,
So if you look on the survey, you'll see them on either side of the trellis.
Right. The smaller, very other side.
You know, as I look at the way it's designed, this is almost, if we had a traditional front yard, this would be in the rear yard.
Correct.
So this is all, you know, necessitated by the fact that you have 3 front yards?
Yeah.
At least 2.
Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna have the screening, you're gonna have the fencing, you're gonna have the setbacks, right?
Correct, yep.
I don't have anything else on this. No. No.
All good.
Okay? Good. I don't even think we have any more questions for you. I know you're all geared up for it. but we don't have any more. Okay. No, I don't have anything else for you, so if nobody else has anything on this application, I'll make a motion to go ahead and close it for a decision, and have a second on it. John seconds it, all in favor? That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
You're welcome.
All right, number 11, Joy Hepburn. Applicant requests variance was 19735A for proposed accessory pool located in the front yard on a corner lot where specifically prohibited. Right. Hi.
Scott Wexler, Swimming Pools, 16 Weatherstone Lane, Smithtown, New York.
Hello.
How are you?
Long way from home.
Smithtown, huh? Okay.
So we're looking to replace the
an existing pool that's currently there.
Mm-hmm.
There's an old style octagon in-ground pool with a bunch of concrete around it, and we're looking to replace that with an 18 by 40 rectangle with open only around the wall everywhere. Right now, the
How big's the pool you're looking to do? 18 by?
18 by 40 rectangle. And it's mainly heading towards the rear yard. The existing pool right now is 22 feet off of the front property line. So it's already, the whole thing's already in the front. The way this property is designed, obviously, if I look at the survey, it's very old and needs no setbacks anywhere.
The house sure doesn't, no.
Yeah. So the driveway, the way it's designed, the driveway kind of eats up that rear portion of the property. So we're kind of stuck with this area. And the old pool is in very poor condition.
Didn't we get a letter from a neighbor on this?
Yes.
Did we? Why not have it?
Here it is.
Jim has it.
I have it.
Jim has it. Jim's got it.
It's
He's my
the,
wingman.
we want a screening letter. That's what it is.
Right. Okay. So I don't know if you saw this from the neighbor, they're looking for, significant screening.
Neighbor front,
I don't know. Where is she from?
is there is screening.
She's
all
335
already.
road, so she's gonna be a neighbor, right? 335,
Yeah.
339.
Right. Neighbor to
It can
the
only
east.
be across the street, I would think.
Neighbor to the east, as you go down Mill Road.
Yeah, there's a wood fence up already with a lot of screening. And the front already has a little fence with screening.
Yeah, they're into screening.
Yeah.
They want more.
We don't mind giving them screening,
There you go.
especially if it's
It's
mandatory.
gotta be fenced anyway, you're ready, you have it complying already, so it's just replacing something that's already there. This is a really odd shaped property,
Yeah.
where the way the house is positioned here, but, okay, yeah.
Scott, that pool equipment is gonna go, next to the driveway as indicated in one of these drawings?
Yeah. So that'll be actually behind the front of the house.
Behind the front
Well,
of
the
the...
front line of the house. So it's not gonna be more towards the street, it'll be behind the pool, more towards the driveway.
I'm trying to think where the front is now. The front is on,
So you can see by the driveway, it says 70.9.
right,
The equipment's gonna be in that little bend
Yeah.
by the driveway.
okay.
But within the fence.
Yeah.
No, I see the fence, yeah.
Okay.
You okay?
Good.
Pretty straightforward application, huh? Right?
Simple.
I don't know how it is.
Compared to what went on before.
Which one? I don't know what you mean. I don't have anything else. Right? Anthony, you looking at something? You have any questions on this?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I think we're good. We're going to go ahead and make a motion to close this hearing for determination to the June
Second.
16th meeting. Second by Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. All right, our last one here is Mark and Palmyra Cataloni. Sorry, 37 Beach. I said it wrong, I'm sorry. Cataleo. I'm sorry. Applicant requests variance from 197 to maintain an accessory residential storage shed located 0.8 and 4.3 feet from property lines where the minimum required is 10 feet. So, guys, You were here for variance requesting. You were on a couple of hearings with it. We had neighbors contentious. It's got everything resolved. You got a garage built with a side yard setback. Part of that hearing was to remove the shed. That was all in the minutes. The shed was going to be removed. It was on the survey, everything else. That was all part of it. Why in the world would we want to keep that shed now?
Well, it was our intent to take it down.
Yes.
And since then, we've reconsidered it, and we were hoping that we could present our case to the board. We've reconsidered it because it is costly to take down. We do have to put some the trees, mature trees there to give us some privacy. And honestly, we don't have as much storage as we thought we would have with the garage. For the pool equipment and for the chairs and everything else. And so we would like to ask, for some forgiveness with regards to that. We spoke to our neighbors. We spoke with John Medina, Sunday Schermeyer, Paula Stroff to the back. All were in agreement without hesitation. They were very positive about it. And so we felt it was worth our time to come here and ask for forgiveness with regards to this particular variance so that we don't have to incur the additional cost. It was our intent all along to take it down. We put the shed up unknowingly, not realizing it required a variance, and that's shame on us. And then we were made aware when we applied for the variance. And as I said, the intent was to take it down. We do hear a lot, I guess the street noises coming from the firehouse, the way our home is positioned, it does afford us a little bit more privacy than just a fence would. And as I said, we need to put new trees there. But that's, so we understand, Brad had mentioned that it would be a tough sell, but we thought it would be worth our time to come here and ask.
We're very, his rule, when we do something like that, when a hearing, that's part of it. That was part of that hearing, was taking that shed down.
I realize
So,
that.
yeah.
I don't think I realized how restrictive it was at the time when we did that, like that it was set in stone and it wasn't something that could be reversed, that we could apply at a later time.
You could always ask for anything. We always say, you're entitled to come and ask for anything.
Yeah.
But this is a problematic one, just because of the whole scope of the hearing and the variance request that we've done before.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, it's our ignorance because, the shed didn't have a foundation. We really didn't think it was like a permanent structure, so.
Why can't you just move it into a conforming location?
There's really no room, to be honest with you, because it would be sitting basically on top of the pool patio or well into the yard, or actually closer to my side neighbor, John, on the south. And the house is already fully landscaped on each side, and my pool guy is the one who's insisting that this shed stay the most because he's up and down my stairs with where we used to keep all the pool stuff in our basement prior to the shed. And it's actually...
And he doesn't want to have to go back up and down the stairs.
I have a picture here of what it looks like right now. Where it is, it's in a spot where no one really, it's not bothering anybody, to be honest with you.
Let's see it.
Let's see.
Yeah. You got a picture, let's take a look at it. I mean, we know the property.
If you want to
Been
just
there.
zoom in. Try to match it to the house.
It's not on a foundation?
No, it's on a rail, both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's 8 by 12 or 5 by 12?
Yeah, it's 8 by 12. It's under 100 square feet, which I was under the impression, but I was misinformed.
We were ignorant to that.
That if it was under 100 square feet, it could be put, without any type of restriction. But
So you couldn't just move it up
there's
against,
literally nowhere to move it.
up against your deck? Yeah.
There's
Like the south side of your deck?
there's a porch there, I don't think there's.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be 10 feet off.
If it's only 8
Well,
feet,
I mean, it might be, but it just wouldn't be, it would be awkward, I
you wouldn't
think.
even need a variance if you just moved it.
It actually,
That's almost, looks like you moved it. Yeah.
Okay.
All we can say is please, you know.
No, you understand.
Yeah.
You know, you have to
And,
understand.
you know, and we're here on our, I also feel like we were a little misguided by the person we had representing us at the time too. But that doesn't change that, you know, we intended to comply with the original plan. But I think in retrospect, you know, I had said, why don't we just ask for everything, including the shower? My shower is like in the middle of the yard, it's in an awkward spot. I didn't ask for a variance for the shower, you know, taking his advice, and we should have just asked for everything at the start. And that was, you know, my mistake for not pushing that further at the time. So we decided to come here on our own, not hire anybody, and just see
In
where-
all honesty, just so you guys know, having an attorney here wouldn't affect the hearing, so you guys are okay with that, okay?
And I'm confident with that decision too. I think I'm more second guessing, you know, the original, how we approached this the first time around.
Well, you got a nice setup the first time around, right?
What's that?
You did well the first time around.
Yeah, I mean, we lost 3 feet on the back end, but that's okay. I love what I have there. It's beautiful. I love where we live. It's all good.
Okay.
And we're good with our neighbors. We're all good. So the
Good.
most important. So.
All right. Okay. Anything, Brad? No? Tony? Board members, anything else? No.
Good.
Okay, guys, I don't have anything else for you tonight.
Okay.
So we're going to close the hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I make a motion to close this hearing for decision.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor? Aye. I think that's, maybe we don't have any other holdovers, anything going on, so I make a motion to close tonight's hearing. Second by Ellen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.